I'm going to talk today about Eskay mining. This is a story that's evolved very quickly over about the past 18 months, and it's really been on the back of bringing in a technical team to work on an exceptional piece of ground. I'm going to point people towards the disclaimer. This is part of our corporate deck on our website. I would urge people to read it. Here you can see the current share structure of the company. We're trading in the low twos, I believe, at this time. 156 million shares out gives us a market cap a little over 300 million. You can see that we have a lot of warrants and options that are currently in the money. Our share price has appreciated very greatly over the past few weeks on the back of some very exciting assays, but that's where we currently stand. Mac Balcom is the CEO. Mac is not a mining engineer or geologist, but he's done a fantastic job keeping the company together and keeping this land package together over a decade or so since he took charge, kind of cleaned up the company. And I give him a lot of credit for the stick-to-itiveness it takes to build or to keep a story like this together. A lot of people close with Mac also on the board. You can see Rob and Gordon there. Myself, I became a director in August last year. I became technical advisor about a year before that, though, and it was on the back of being able to bring together a team. Tom Weiss, also a director, geophysicist I worked with closely at Newmont for several years, and I pointed Eskay towards Tom's services some time ago, but he's a critical component of our team because this is going to be a heavily geophysically driven program. You'll see some slides here in a bit. John DeDecker, though, Dr. John is our newest addition, Vice President Exploration. John ran the exploration last summer and drilled those critical holes. But he's been working on this now since about October of 2019. He's out of the Colorado School of Mines, works under Thomas Monarchy. Thomas Monarchy is a professor there at School of Mines, world-renowned VMS expert. Thomas did his dissertation at Eskay Creek. He knows more about that district than just about anybody. John DeDecker is an exploration geochemist, works closely with Tom. He brings absolute critical skills that we need, especially around exploration geochemistry to define these targets and make hay. John is a young lad, and I love to see young, smart geologists come into the mining industry. Okay, I'm going to kind of cut to the chase on these slides because we don't have a lot of time here. What are we looking for? We're looking for precious metal-rich VMS systems. It's that simple. All right, the VMS deposit that is nearest to us, it's been mined out, but Skeena is advancing it now. It's the Eskay Creek mine. You can see, hopefully people can see my cursor, that little star right there, which is kind of towards the north end of our property boundary. Whoops, what happened there? Hold on, this is bizarre. Okay, Treaty Creek, KSM, and Brucejack are all off to the east, but Eskay has this critical piece of ground right here, right in the middle of this, really the center of gravity within the Golden Triangle. We are a helicopter supported program right now, but I think that'll change over the next couple of years. I think road infrastructure is going to improve. In fact, we should have roads across our property within the next 2 years. Okay, our property consists of two land packages. The blue and the yellow are both part of what we call the Sib-Lulu property, and that's in joint venture, 80-20 with Kirkland Lake. The red is 100% owned by Eskay. It's called the Quarry property. The trend of VMS deposits continues southward from Eskay Creek. It's basically an anticline or an upfold of rocks that trends almost like a banana shape through here. South from Eskay Creek onto the Quarry property. We have roughly 85% of the prospective ground for these precious metal rich VMS on our property. What is Eskay Creek? Eskay Creek's highest grade gold deposit on the planet. It was a fantastic mine, produced a little over 3 million ounces of gold, 160 million ounces of silver. The grade was almost 46 grams per ton, phenomenal grade. It places it in the highest grade gold of all VMS. All of these polka dots are VMS deposits. You can see grade on this axis, tonnage down here. It's just off the chart. In terms of tons, though, it's kind of a middle of the road down here. It's about 3 million tons, so it's not the hugest deposit in terms of tonnage. but it is certainly the highest in grade. Well, VMS occur in camps. Where's the rest of these suckers? Okay, Eskay Creek cannot be alone. We think we have the rest of the VMS deposits. In fact, potential for big ones like you see over here on our ground. This is a cross-sectional view, kind of a schematic section of the stratigraphy. It's modified from Skeena resources. It's very simple. The old Eskay Creek deposit occurs in a position here between this basalt and this rhyolite. It is a VMS, an exhalative system, so you get some stockwork in the footwall, but mainly bedded mineralization in that mudstone between the two. But what Skeena is finding are mineralized bodies down here in these other mudstones below. And these appear to be fluids that got into these mudstones at the time of deposition. Basically, they're fluids that worked their way out and deposited high-grade silver and gold in these horizons too. So now we have at least 3 horizons to look at. Here's a few photos of the ore from Eskay Creek, very sulfide-rich material, has very high precious metal. Near the vent or near the source of this, it's very coarse clastic material. As you go further out, it becomes finer and laminated, even disseminated like this. So those are the different styles of mineralization. Oops, here we go again. It's going the wrong way. Why does it do that? Okay, here's our land package. All these yellow stars you see here are VMS occurrences down that banana-shaped belt I talked about. So Eskay Creek is here. And as you continue southward along this anticline, we have a vast number of VMS targets to pursue. There are historic drill holes here. You can see some encouraging results from dating way back to the early 1990s. Eskay Creek, after it was discovered, huge influx of exploration in here. And there was some drilling, but people really didn't understand the geology at that time. So there were a lot of good assays over, respectable intervals, much like Eskay Creek, but a lot of this was not followed up. This hole that was drilled in 2018 was actually drilled by Silver Standard. They hit 62 grams right on the property boundary, right there as you approach Skeena's side of the fence. Talk more about that. Now here's the geology map put together by John. He's kind of cleaned up the geology picture, and we can see the belt on the west side of the anticline. So Eskay Creek mine would be off to the north here. But this Tom McKay, this is an area that Skeena just recently drilled, had fantastic numbers. All these little red dots here are basic places or bodies of sulfide with good gold and silver that have been identified by historic drilling. And we've got at least 3 kilometers of it here. Most of this is really wide space drilling, just wildcat holes that have yet to be followed up. What are we doing? John's doing extremely detailed work like this, putting geological models together and understanding the fault patterns and why, for example, the old timers hit very high grades up here, but then it died here and they thought, well, it's cut off. Well, it turns out it might continue down here. So now we have targets to drill down below this block. We have the other mudstone horizons that are seen back here in these reds that we have that we know Skeena's hitting gold. So we have lots of new targets emerging very quickly. John is working on things like what we call alteration indices. Basically, it's looking at how highly altered the rock is around the mineralization, and it really helps vector in on high grade. So you can see here, he's got different color schematics for different types of alteration. What that tells us, it points the way. It's like a big blinking arrow. It points the way towards where we need to step out and drill further holes to advance this area. Okay, the area over on the east side of the anticline largely went unexplored. It's called TB-Jeff, at least the target we tested initially. We found sulfide sticking out of the ground. These sulfide outcrops like you see in the middle, that is high precious metal rich VMS sticking out of the ground. Hasn't seen a drill hole since the early 1990s. It's just a handful of wildcat holes in here. We came in here after we started seeing this last July. We got very excited by the geophysics. This data you see here, this bright color is SkyTem. It's basically EM data that's collected from a helicopter. And you can see these polka dots or pimply-like features all the way up and down here. And some of them aren't even highlighted. You know, these little white circles you see, those are various targets that have yet to be drilled. Okay, we have a zillion of them. There's about 6 kilometers right there in this corridor between TV and Jeff. And we've only started drilling. You can see our drill holes here. The rest of these historic holes were mostly off at the trend. You know, there's lots and lots of room to grow this thing. What have we hit? Well, we've hit, guess what? mudstone hosted sulfide mineralization. So we got our lower and lower mudstone units down here that are hosting sulfide, replacement sulfide, like we see at Skeena. But this area up here has not been tested. This is the rhyolite basalt area, okay? What's happening up here? We don't know yet. We're gonna work our way up the stratigraphy and test this area, which is where Eskay Creek is hosted. Here's some of the numbers. Look, I can't go through all these, but I can point this out. The numbers we're seeing are very similar to what Skeena sees, and we are also seeing bonanza grades. Look at this number down here: 69 gram gold, 392 grams silver. Phenomenal numbers. Eskay Creek 2, possibly. Okay, this is what you start seeing when you get around a productive precious mineral VMS system, and we're just beginning. We only got 20 holes in. We got 11 holes yet to be assayed. We will see those around the end of the month, and I think there's going to be equally phenomenal results like you see here in the next 11 holes. Why do I say that? We saw things like electrum and pyrargyrite, which is a silver-rich mineral, in that core. In some of those drill holes, we saw this style of mineralization. Again, very optimistic. We're going to see some good numbers come out, and can't wait to get back to drill more holes. We got a $13 million raise done here recently that's going to allow us to go nuts. What are we going to do? We're going to drill about half of 30,000 meters, so say 15, 20,000 meters right through here, TV Jeff, to start to expand this newly discovered sulfide horizon on the east side. So this is the east limb where these dashed lines are. That's the east limb of the anticline. And then we're also going to drill some up here at Sib Lulu, but we're going to test down here at these other targets that are just sticking out. Why are we going to test that? Look at these numbers. This is from TET. This has over 30,000 grams silver. We're seeing in IP work that we've done, blatant, drill me type targets with high grade surface samples right above them. We are in a productive VMS system. We have no shortage of targets, at least a dozen new targets to be tested this coming year. Here's some of the photos from Outcrop. You can see what we mean. I mean, these are literally sticking out of the ground, VMS drill me targets. All right, with that, I see I'm out of time. Always happy to answer questions. You can see our contact for IR, Leo Carabellis, leo@fcir.ca. Leo and I are always happy to answer questions. Thank you very much.